ConOps Incorporated and the rise of the grifters. Click the links to join the channel. Go to the Telegram, Discord, Odysee, Bit Chute, or to support the channel and copy of the various other links. I'm going to start putting more based exclusive content on Subscribestar because I'm not 100% sure of the rules on Odysee and Bit Chute. So sign up over there if that is the kind of thing you're into. I want to have a place to be free, even if there's only a few people there. I need to have free speech or else I'm going to go. I was going to say postal, but I'll say nuts. Nice try, FBI. Not today, Satan. The right-wing grifters. The rise of controlled ops. And who is controlled ops? Turns out there's quite a few of these people who want to limit discourse, allowable speech within a narrow spectrum, but don't you dare go a step further, or we will come down on you. The right is so eager to come down on people a millimeter further to the right. So shouldn't you be focusing your energy on the left? Oh no, that's it's the phobic to focus on the left. This is why they call you guys ConOps. So the right-wing grifters. Tim Pool last night, he did an interview with Jason Miller from the CEO of Gettr. Come to Gettr. We also don't have free speech. Well, that's a hell of a sales point there, Miller. Nick Fuentes made 4 posts before he was kicked off, and the word groiper can't even be used on Gettr. What? It's a weird free speech platform where you don't have free speech. It's like you don't understand the words. Words mean things. Why would you build an alternative to Twitter and Gab, but have it censor just like Twitter? If you think Fuentes is too far right, then you haven't listened to him, which neither of the people talking about him listened to him, which is weird. You wouldn't have him on the show. It was Tim Pool, Jason Miller from Gettr, who didn't know who Nick Fuentes and the groypers were. They couldn't point to anything he's done that has been so horrible. They couldn't point to any reason why he violated the terms of services. And it's also weird that you wouldn't have the guy on the show, because clearly he's a big part of the show. It's like, why wouldn't you have him on for at least, an hour or something to have him explain himself, or talk to the guy who, we kicked you off for violating terms of service. So what exactly did I say? Oh, well, people said, wait, so you're doing the same thing to him that the left has been doing to the right the whole time. People say, the ADL, SPLC, ACLU, all they have to do is make a tweet, and that's enough to get somebody deplatformed. It's like, I thought you guys we're on the right. Aren't we pro free speech? We're the free speech people? Like, no, that's not. We're not the free. Oh, we're just a bunch of grifters. Just donate money for a free speech platform that's not a free speech platform. That's why ConOps is worse than ops, because you're spinning your wheels in this narrowly allowed platform spectrum of allowed opinions. Fierce debate within that spectrum, but not a millimeter outside that spectrum. Or so many clips of Ben Shapiro making interesting statements about people who dare to go outside that spectrum. They must be destroyed. Yeah, we must ruin their lives. There's that clip of Ben Shapiro saying we must ruin those people's lives. Anyway, congratulations to the Jason Miller guy from Gettr to go on the show in the first place without a spokesperson, where the guy from Twitter who went on Joe Rogan's podcast, he had to have his attorney with him. Like, yeah, what a pussy you look like. I forget that guy's name. I guess he resigned as Twitter CEO. And the thing is, congratulations to Tim Pool for asking real questions that the Gettr grifter just couldn't seem to answer. So, you'd think you'd be better prepared. You're going on the Tim Pool show. There's 40,000 people watching. Millions of people are going to see the thing in its entirety. And millions more are going to see the clips where you look like a freaking idiot. Because, so why did Nick Fuentes get kicked? I'm not sure. The ADL told me that he was a nationalist. Imagine that being a bad thing, be a nationalist in a nation. Oh yeah, that's enough to get you kicked off. So are you just openly a globalist? Not in so many words, but yeah, that's what controlled ops is. So then Tim asked for evidence of Fuentes violating the terms of service, and the guy can't answer. He just looks like a fat toad. So, hey, credit for Tim. He did not let it go. Tim was he was laid back about it, but he was also like a little pit bull with a child. He made the point, you kicked him off, and the groypers, which you can't even say that word on the platform, but you can't point to something Fuentes did to violate terms of service And he couldn't. He went on a show with 40,000 people watching. He's like, oh yeah, I'm totally unprepared to discuss this issue. Well, that's, half the reason we had you on. It's like Fuentes is kind of a big deal. He does his live streams on his own channel. He's got like 10,000 people watching him on his own website that is in some tiny little corner of the internet. It's like if he was on YouTube, he'd probably have 100,000 people watching him on YouTube if there was no censorship. So he's an important issue. He's obviously representing quite a lot of people, and you're the CEO of a quote-unquote right-wing free speech platform where you don't allow free speech, and you don't allow somebody on the right. Oh, because Fuentes is just too far right for us. Yeah, Fuentes really isn't far right. He's a 25-year-old guy who's doing a social media thing. I haven't heard him say anything far right. It'd be a lot cooler if he was. This Jason Miller guy just sat there like a hypocritical toad, which is exactly what he is. What did the GRIFTERS do to violate the terms of service? John Greenblatt at the ADL, he told me that they're nationalists and I must kick them off, or Google and Apple will kick me off the App Store. Why not just be honest? Google and Apple control the apps, and the ADL, SPLC, ACLU control them. People would respect him a lot more if he just admitted it. Be like, yeah, censorship sucks. We're completely slaves to... What if he just came out and said that? Yeah, we're complete slaves to Google and Apple, who themselves seem like are slaves to the ADL, SPLC, ACLU. Why not just say that? Because that would probably be too far even for Tim Pool. Tim Pool was like, oh, shit, we're in trouble. It was nice having a YouTube career. I guess I'm going to my own Timcast website and have to broadcast on cozy.tv or whatever, join the Alex Jones. I mean, pretty soon you kick enough people off, there's going to be like an alternative network that is just the kicked off people, and then everyone's going to go there because the people who are censored, the people who are catching flack, they're over the target. So it's, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, and all these other people, Owen Benjamin, all these people who are getting so much heat. It's like, gee, you're so desperate to deplatform and censor these people. The truth doesn't fear investigation. You can apply that concept is true about anything. If you have to censor people, then there's something, you need to pay attention. Somebody is peeing on your leg. There's something very, very wrong. We can't defeat his argument in the open marketplace of ideas. Quick, shut it down. We've got to censor him. No, somebody's lying to you. There's a problem with the narrative. You need to hear what those people have to say. They might be crazy, they might not be crazy, but the people who are censoring you have interests adverse to yours. So basically, Gettr is a good platform as long as you don't upset the puppet masters, because if you do, Gettr will kick you off. The right wing has this nasty habit of turning on anyone who's a millimeter further to the right and attacking them so that they can virtue signal to the mobs of whipped up Twitter idiots that they're not the actual far right. They're just shilling MAGA sellout normies who are completely gutless. If you're willing to turn and sell out Fuentes, then you're worthless. What exactly do you stand for? Oh, we don't stand for anything. Okay, then let's move on to Gab, Odysee, Telegram, where there actually is an open marketplace of ideas. So Gettr is this narrow platform where they've made Nick Fuentes the boundary on the right. So Gettr is the neocon Twitter. They don't tell you the exact rules because they want to kick you off for any reason they want, just like Twitter and YouTube. Or in the case of Gettr, if they get any pressure from the those alphabet agencies, that's all it's going to take. It's just a little bit of pressure, and suddenly your Gettr account is permanently suspended, and you find yourself on Gab. It's like, oh, okay, well, why not just go to Gab in the first place? They say the GRIFTERS are, let me say for the algorithm so I can get that 27 cents, Euro tribal. But they don't define exactly what that means, why that's a bad thing, why any tribalism is a bad thing, how that violates your terms of service, what specifically are your terms of service, what have the GRIFTERS done? Well, let's look at what they've done. They've questioned Dan Crenshaw on the Israeli influence in ConOps, the shilling right wing, which is funny because Dan then threatened the kids who are asking questions on camera. That's a bit odd, Dan Crenshaw, to threaten a bunch of 20-year-old students for asking questions. That's not the right wing. That's the left wing, a wolf in sheep's clothing. The truth, you can ask any questions you want. The truth doesn't fear investigation. The truth is a lion. You set it free, it will defend itself. But Dan Crenshaw threatened college students. Gee, that's a little bit creepy there, Dan Crenshaw. So they also asked questions of Charlie Kirk, and to Charlie Kirk's credit, I know he's kind of in the same category as these like Shapiro, Crenshaw, Rubin, these ConOp Incorporated. Every once in a while, Charlie Kirk you'll see a telegram or a tweet of his where he'll be a little bit more based, something outside the spectrum of allowable opinions. So same with Elijah Schaffer. I'm getting the feeling with Elijah Schaffer, he's definitely hiding. I feel he's hiding his power levels, and Charlie Kirk may be slowly waking up, and where someone like Crenshaw is completely owned, and he's happy being a sheep. So those are the lines in. Oh, they asked Charlie Kirk something about, what are the conservatives conserving? Conservatism has a definition. Words refer to concepts and things. You're not conserving anything if you've got a BLT spokesperson who's like, is that the representative of the Conservative Party? They asked specifically about an adult act, and they said, how is that conserving conservative values? And it's like, yeah, it's not. Are you Christian, or what are you? Like, what is your dogma? Because once you stop defining your dogma, it's like, well, you're all things to all people. Like, remember in Lord of the Rings where he had a cloak of many colors? A rainbow cloak, and the white cloak is what he preferred. Anyway, so are those the lines in the sand, the BLT trans type of thing, dealing with the neocons or Israeli influence on this, this right wing? Are those the hard lines in the sand? Because if they are, just openly tell us what is verboten. The Charlie Kirk, Dan Crenshaw are the useful idiots, and the well-paid useful idiots of the puppet master machine, and those guys must not be questioned, or more importantly, their narrative that they so fiercely defend must not be questioned. So Gettr is the peak ConOps of the ConOps Incorporated movement. They're the gatekeepers, the gateway pundits, the post-millennials, the Rubins, the Shapiros of social media, i.e. they're worse than useless because they're controlling the discussion. That's the evil of ConOps, that they allow fierce debate within a narrow scope, but they destroy anyone who goes outside that scope. They will send the artillery cannons for anyone who dares question it. So yeah, you're allowing people who may have interests adverse to yours and your tribe to set the agenda. Why would we accept censorship from these vipers and worms? There is a platform with free speech. It's called Gab. It's not in the App Store. Nothing on the App Store is free speech. It's funneled by Google and Apple, but it's really controlled by the ADL, SPLC, ACLU. Greenblatt is something, let me filter this on the fly, who scurries away from free expression like it's sunlight to something that's afraid of sunlight. The thing is, people are slowly waking up. Before, this is what Subscribestar. Join Subscribestar if you can. This is what people are waking up to. Before alt social media, maybe they could control things, but Gab, Telegram, Odysee, Bit Chute, and crypto, the financial, moving money around without control of these people who previously controlled the movement of money is very, very important, because all this stuff takes a little bit of money, which is why Odysee is so interesting, because you can make like each Odysee credit, it varies, but it's like right now it's like 3 cents. It varies from 3 to 7 cents. But it's easier to get a donation of, a nickel than it is get a donation on coffee of $3. Anyway, these are these alternative platforms that there's so many platforms around these censorious worms in the mainstream, especially, you got VPNs working in there too, and Tor browsers and all kinds of stuff. I mean, now there's things in place. You've got money, social media, cell phones, and VPNs, and hidden browsers and stuff to get around things. Like, it's not going to go mainstream yet, but it's like idea farms in the alt media, these alt tech, and then those ideas can spread out to the mainstream media. You go on Twitter and you tell people to go to these other sites, which is friggin' hysterical, because a couple of years ago Twitter just took the mask off and they said, yeah, we're not going to allow links to Bit Chute, and then they allowed them, but they had a warning, and then they disallowed them, then they allowed them back with a warning. It's like, you're saying somebody's video on Bit Chute is so terrifying, a different idea that you can't counter it, you have to censor it and deplatform it. Yeah, they just took the mask off. They're the authoritarian dictators that everyone warned us against. You don't need to censor ideas. Ideas can defend themselves. Like, why would we want two people are talking to each other? You don't need a third party to act as a filter. Like, no, I know best. So it's like, well, we have two adults speaking to each other. Why would we want a third adult to act as a filter? Because I know what's best for you. Well, clearly you don't. Clearly you're wrong. I don't like you're saying you want to be the authority, but we're two adults. We have agency. We don't need to delegate authority to someone else. We're not giving you our power of social media attorney to decide what is best for us. We're not children. We're adults. We don't need a third party like John Greenblatt filtering. He's a very bad person. People don't trust these biased censors on CNN, Twitter, Facebook, and the rest. Why would we trust a neocon censor in Gettr? The Jason Miller guy, he looked like an effing idiot last night. And credit to Tim Pool for going after him. He went after him. And, I saw something like this actually kind of similar. Anomaly had an interview with a person, and he asked this person a question, and the person dodged it. And he asked a second time, and the person dodged it. And if you listen to, I can tell you offline what the whole story. And then he asked it a third time, and the guy dodged it. It wasn't the point of getting the answer to the question. The point is that he very publicly violated like a social nicety contract. Like when someone dodges a question, they don't want to answer it. But this isn't an interpersonal relationship. This is on an interview on a live stream on YouTube. Anomaly, I don't know his real name. He asked the question 3 times, and the guy clearly dodged it 3 times. And Anomaly even pointed out, I said, yeah, you're dodging this question. Everyone saw it. Like, he did it 3 times, and he dodged it all 3 times. I can't even go into it. It's not that, I mean, the point was, like, people slowly put on the they live glasses and see, like, oh, there is an agenda out there. And, like, Anomaly, like Anomaly's time on YouTube is, it's only the thinnest of thin ice. All it takes is a little bit of pressure. Like, if all it would take for Anomaly to get kicked off YouTube would be Greenblatt to issue a tweet, and that's it. And 2 days later, Anomaly would be off Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You'd be off all the mainstream. All it takes is one tweet from Greenblatt to get you deleted. Anyway, so why would we trust this Jason Miller idiot on Gettr? Why would we want any political censorship? Even if Fuentes was a quote-unquote European nationalist, so what? Are you saying some politics are acceptable but others are haram? On Gab, you can proudly be a Hugo Boss or a communist, which, I mean, shows you the censorship on YouTube. I can say communist, but I can't say the other. Both of those are just political viewpoints. And really, what you call a Hugo Boss, it's like, what does that definition really mean, anyone? It means anyone who's, if you're not a socialist, then you're a nationalist by default, according to their binary logic. It's like they believe in binaries sometimes. How can you call yourself on the right wing and purportedly supporting free speech, but you don't support free speech for the far right, while Twitter supports the far left? Twitter supports communism, but Gettr doesn't support true nationalism. Nationalism is the only thing that can fight communism. MAGA normies won't defeat the globalists. Only true nationalists can do that. That's why ConOps are so dangerous, because they fuel the left by not fighting the left. We allow politics, but no tribalism for Euros. Tribalism is politics. Gettr is openly admitting that they are globalists in the soft cloak of the neocon wool. They want to be a political social media platform, but you're forbidden to address the most important issues. I will say, I don't think Gettr is a total waste of time. Use the platforms to the extent that you can use them as their tools until you break them, and then go elsewhere or get other accounts. Use them for all they're worth. There are normies in the bell curve on all these platforms, even on Gab. Like, people think Gab is some far right. It's not. It's a slightly further to the bell curve. There are tons of normies on Gab, like the MAGA middle of the road people we are slowly dropping red pills from a B-52 to push them to the right, because you don't have that kind of censorship. So they're being exposed to these further right ideas, which is good. You have to drag people further and further right. Staying in the middle is losing. You've been losing for 100 years because you're not willing to go further and further right. Oh, we're just going to stay in the middle. We just want to guard my marijuana crops with ARs and have gay marriages and be libertarians. And I want an M60 with a belt fed. And yeah, you're not going to get any of that because it's game theory and in-group preference. You have people who have in-group preference and advance their interests, but you have some kind of hippy-dippy libertarianism live off the woods with guns and liberty devices and marijuana fields. eventually you're going to lose because those people are a group acting adverse to you. It's it's like what happened 300-400 years ago in America. You had a group within group preference who acted as a group against a bunch of American Indians who were not unified, so they lost. That's what's happening with these people. That's why libertarianism is so freaking cringe. I don't know where I was going with this. My point is, use the platforms as you can. Dog whistle on all those platforms. The real message will slowly get out, and people are kind of waking up. It's like we do it on Twitter. People eventually notice the elephant in the room by how carefully you have to avoid that elephant. Anyway, that's a long video. Like, comment, subscribe, support the channel if you can on Coffee or the various Cash Apps, other links. Definitely sign up for Odysee, Bit Chute, Telegram, and Discord, and I will see you guys all next episode.